It's not a mystery to me. The same thing that happened to my daughter is what happened to Whitney. There's only one person that was around both occasions.
You won't say his name. Nick Gordon is who you're referring to.
I won't say his name.
Whitney. Oh my God. Can you believe it's been years since we lost Whitney Houston and Bobbi Brown's daughter, Bobbi Kristina? But let me tell you something. According to her daddy, the circumstances around her death still don't add up. And he's not the only one with questions. Bobbi has spoken out multiple times suggesting that Bobbi Kristina's ex, Nick Gordon, might have been responsible, not just for her tragic death, but possibly for Whitney's death too. I mean, can you even imagine?
I want the world to know that Bobbi Kristina did not die from the bathtub incident. That's not what killed Bobbi Kristina.
What killed Bobbi Kristina?
Bobbi Kristina was starved to death.
Do you approach that?
He knows what happened. I don't know what happened that night, but he does.
You walk through that door and you see her much like you saw Whitney.
It was literally, it was a nightmare all over again.
But honey, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The word on the street is that poor Bobbi Kristina actually knew what happened to her mama. And get this, people are saying the eerie similarities between their deaths wasn't just coincidence. It was planned. I've heard from very reliable sources that Bobbi Kristina was present during many heated arguments between her mother and powerful people like Clive Davis. Just imagine what that poor child might have witnessed.
And then it's Grammy time.
That happened.
And her and Clive had a fight 2 days before. And from what I was told, Bobbi Kristina was present for some of that fight. And then the next thing you know, she's dead.
So what exactly did Bobbi Kristina know about her mother's shocking death? And was it somehow connected to her own tragic end? Let's dive right into this heartbreaking mystery. For those who need a refresher, Bobbi Kristina literally grew up in the spotlight, bless her heart. She made adorable appearances alongside Whitney, like during that Barbara Walters interview when she was just 8 months old. Remember when Whitney proudly brought her on stage at the 1994 American Music Awards while accepting her award? That precious baby was destined for greatness. When Whitney passed, nobody, and I mean nobody, suffered more than Bobbi Kristina. The poor girl was actually hospitalized after having a complete breakdown when her mother's body was discovered in that Beverly Hills hotel room. But somehow, she found the strength to put on a brave face during the funeral and memorial services in those devastating days that followed. Can you imagine being that young and having to process that kind of grief in the public eye? After Whitney's death, Bobbi Kristina was pushed even further into the spotlight. And while her family tried their absolute best to shield and protect her, she eventually joined and then left a Tyler Perry series, made an appearance at the Billboard Music Awards, and even sat down with Oprah for an emotional interview, along with several other public appearances. But tragically, she never got the chance to continue her mother's incredible legacy. On January 31st, 2015, and this still gives me chills, Bobbi Kristina was found unresponsive in her Georgia home that she shared with Nick Gordon. And here's the most disturbing part. She was discovered unconscious in a bathtub, just like her mother. She fought for her life, but ultimately passed away in hospice on July 26, 2015. The Fulton County Medical Examiner ruled her death as a combination of drowning and intoxication. The toxicology report found alcohol, a cocaine-related substance, sedatives, anti-anxiety medications, and morphine in her system. But here's the thing. They couldn't determine if her death was intentional or accidental. They just stated, the underlying cause of death is the condition which starts the downhill course of events leading to death, and in this case is the immersion associated with intoxication. The pneumonia and encephalopathy were secondary causes resulting from the immersion and drug intoxication. The parallels between Bobbi Kristina's death and her mother's are absolutely chilling. Whitney died on February 11, 2012 at just 48 years old. She was also found unresponsive and submerged in a bathtub inside the Beverly Hilton Hotel. According to official reports, Whitney's death was ruled as accidental drowning, and toxicology results showed a small amount of cocaine in her system. There were also traces of Xanax and other substances. The report suggested that Whitney possibly had a heart attack triggered by hardening of the arteries, causing her to lose consciousness and drown. But here's the tea. The coroner did not find any evidence of a cardiac episode. That heart attack story, probably just a cover-up. The coroner only noted that Whitney had mild heart disease and some artery blockage, typical for smokers, so that whole "she fell into the tub because of a heart attack" theory, not backed up by the autopsy at all. As for the cocaine levels, the coroner said it seemed she had used some, but not enough to have caused her death. So the question everyone has been asking is, what caused her to become submerged in that scalding water to the point where she couldn't get herself out? And here's another bombshell. There wasn't enough water in Whitney's lungs to prove she died from drowning. This makes it very likely that someone placed her in that bathtub after she was already unconscious or worse. And you know whose names keep coming up whenever Whitney's questionable death is discussed? Bobbi Kristina's ex Nick Gordon and Ray J.
Ray J was the last person to see her alive. He let the dealer in, but she was sober, right? But he let the dealer in that gave her the shot. Leola Brown, Bobbi Brown's sister, has said on several occasions that she was beat. They saw her body. She didn't just die in a tub, like she was beat up.
Now, Ray J was the last person to have a public relationship with Whitney, but they were never officially steady and they never publicly admitted they were an item. On the day Whitney died, Ray J claimed he wasn't at the party, but multiple witnesses have come forward saying he absolutely was there. One account even mentioned that Brandy was asking for her brother at the party, so why would she be looking for him if he wasn't supposed to be there in the first place? People started giving Ray J major side-eye when he and Raffles were spotted hurrying out the back with Brandy Burside that same evening. What's particularly strange is that Raffles clearly never liked Ray, so why was he helping him sneak out? And then, to make things even more suspicious, Leola Brown, the sister of Whitney's ex-husband Bobby Brown, said shortly after Whitney's death that Ray J had been helping Whitney get access to whatever substances she was using, and he might have been the one who gave her a bad bag.
I saw Ray J coming out of the hotel, hiding his head, being pushed into the car. Why? I looked and I said, why is he hiding? Why is he hiding his face? He's always trying to show his face when he's around Whitney. Why now? Why are you trying to hide now, Ray J? And I put it all together. When I first heard she passed away, I said, my God, somebody gave her a bad bag. Yes, I promise you, that was the first thing that came out of my mouth. And then I saw Ray J, and it all added up.
It also raises serious questions that before Whitney died, she slipped Ray J's sister Brandy a mysterious note when she crashed an E interview with Brandy, Monica, and Clive Davis. To this day, Brandy refuses to reveal what was in that note. In another E interview, she cryptically said, "I'm going to just not say what it was and keep it to myself for my own personal reasons." Many people believe Whitney might have given that note to Brandy on camera on purpose, like insurance in case something happened to her. If you watch the video closely, you'll notice how Whitney kept giving Monica and Clive her attention, so Brandy had enough time to read the note. It just doesn't make sense that Whitney Houston would interrupt a recorded interview while she was wet but fully clothed just to say hi, pass a note to Brandy, and kiss her like that at the end. And if you listen carefully, you can actually hear Whitney say, "I nearly drowned today." Chills, right? People have always pointed out that Brandy talks about everything when it's good, but when it's bad, she stays quiet. That can only mean one thing. That note contained something bad, and her face said it all when Whitney handed it to her. People have long suspected that Bobbi Kristina discovered what really happened to her mother, and there have been reports claiming she even had receipts. Based on what Jaguar revealed, Bobbi Kristina was present when Whitney was having fights with people right where she died.
And then it's Grammy time. That happened. And her and Clive had a fight 2 days before. And from what I was told, Bobbi Kristina was present for some of that fight. And then the next thing you know, she's dead.
There have been theories suggesting that Clive Davis might have been involved with Whitney's death, If Bobbi Kristina was present during some of their arguments, you better believe she must have overheard things she was never supposed to hear. And isn't it just too convenient that Whitney died at a Clive Davis party? Child, it just doesn't add up. The circumstances surrounding Bobbi Kristina's death and the eerie similarities to her mother's have never made sense either, especially regarding what was happening between her and Nick Gordon.
This is a young man who swears to God that he loves my niece. But yet you drag her up the steps, you pull her by her hair. You pull her by her hair and you punch her in the face and you knock 2 of her teeth out of her mouth.
Apparently, Bobbi Kristina was planning a trip to LA to celebrate her dad's birthday with their family, which was supposed to become a permanent move to be closer to Bobbi and focus on her career. According to insider reports, she was beyond excited to continue her mother's legacy and was looking forward to rebuilding her relationship with her father. But Nick? He didn't want her close to anyone because he knew that as soon as Bobbi Kristina left, everything would have been over for him. Reportedly, she was even supposed to meet up with a friend the very same day she was found in that tub to confess that Nick wasn't the man she thought he was. According to people close to her, the day she planned to tell Nick about her plans to leave, she was under the influence and upset when Nick returned from being out. They argued, and allegedly, Nick attacked her and then left her alone in the room, which is why she had those bruises. Remember, shortly after Bobbi Kristina was moved to hospice care, her court-appointed conservator filed a complaint against Nick Gordon to pursue justice on her behalf. In the complaint, Nick was accused of causing substantial bodily harm and stealing money by pretending to be Bobbi Kristina's husband. The conservator later filed an amended complaint accusing him of causing Bobbi Kristina's wrongful death. The complaint claimed that the pair had a heated argument which led Nick to give Bobbi Kristina a toxic cocktail that left her unconscious before he put her face down in the bathtub. According to Bobbi Brown, Nick Gordon was present during both Whitney's and Bobbi Kristina's deaths, and he believes Nick may have been involved in both tragedies. Nick denied all allegations and even tried to shift blame onto Bobbi Brown for Bobbi Kristina's death. Unfortunately, Nick also passed away a few years later, so there's really no one who can say for certain what really happened to Whitney and Bobbi Kristina, or if their deaths were connected and planned. I don't know if Nick was responsible for both deaths, or if somebody more powerful put him up to it, but what I can say without a doubt is that both Whitney's and Bobbi Kristina's deaths never made sense to anyone. Don't you find the similarities more than just a little disturbing? Do you believe Nick was involved or that he was possibly a pawn for someone more influential and powerful? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below.